A lot of guys' futures that are, uncertain, myself included. That's what's sad about it most. Getting this far, obviously there's going to be an end to it at some point, whether we make it past this one or not. But
if there is one thing that I am entirely way too guilty of, it's making way too many Aaron Rodgers videos, and that's a result of all the drama that's been happening over the past couple of weeks in regards to Aaron Rodgers and his stance with the Green Bay Packers. So I figured it's only fitting and only necessary for me to make a video for you guys documenting everything from the very beginning, each and every time Aaron Rodgers has had beef with the Green Bay Packers, and how it was handled and how we got to the point that we are at today. So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here, and yes, I have a face. A lot of you guys have been requesting me showing my face a little bit more, so this is me doing that. Plus, it gives you an opportunity to roast my hair. And also, guess when was the last time I got a haircut? If you guys could take a moment to slap that like button for the YouTube algorithm. I haven't been able to sleep very much lately, and that's mainly because I keep thinking at night, what if people are watching my videos without slapping the like button for the YouTube algorithm? So by leaving a like, you definitely contribute to my ability to potentially getting some sleep. On top of that, I'm not gonna do a duck face this time. We're giving away a pair of Apple AirPod Maxes to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. We've already given away one, but you guys really love that giveaway, so I'm doing another one here. I don't know why I buy these myself. I should just ship them directly to you guys, but whatever. Now that we got all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? So Aaron Rodgers was drafted on April 23rd, 2005, and it was definitely an eventful event because there were some people that pegged Aaron Rodgers as a potential #1 overall pick in the NFL draft, but he slid all the way to 24th overall to the Green Bay Packers, which caused a little bit of controversy because the Green Bay Packers ended up drafting him, but Brett Favre is still there. So while Brett Favre is still a Green Bay Packer, Aaron Rodgers is officially the future of the franchise, but he wouldn't really get the opportunity to start for quite some time. Now, if you want to know what happened between that window of time where Aaron Rodgers was the backup to Brett Favre, we have a separate video for that, and we'll leave that in the end screen of the video if you really want to see what happens there. But since we already made a video on that, let's skip a little bit ahead to when Aaron Rodgers finally gets an opportunity to start for the Green Bay Packers, because after January 20th, 2008, following the NFC Championship game, the Green Bay Packers would lose to the eventual Super Bowl champion New York Giants in overtime, 23-20, and Brett Favre officially would throw his final pass in a Green Bay Packers uniform. So on September 8th, 2008, Aaron Rodgers, after 3 years of waiting, would finally get his first start against his division rival Minnesota Vikings. And this was a matchup he would win, 24-19. It was clear from the start that the Green Bay Packers had an absolute stud in Aaron Rodgers, hitting 4,434 passing yards in 2009 and 3,922 passing yards in 2010 before finally peaking in 2011. After a fairly up and down season, Aaron Rodgers would lead the Green Bay Packers on a miraculous run to Super Bowl 45, where Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers would defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers for his only Super Bowl win. Now, we also do have a dedicated video on why Aaron Rodgers would fail to make it to the Super Bowl ever since, and we'll leave that in the end screen of the video as well, because that's also a 20-minute video. We can't really go super in-depth on that here. But to summarize, after 7 years where Aaron Rodgers wasn't really experiencing the playoff success that he would want, the Green Bay Packers would fire head coach Mike McCarthy after a Week 13 loss to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Mike McCarthy has been with the Green Bay Packers since the moment Aaron Rodgers was drafted, and he was given a lot of credit for Aaron Rodgers becoming the quarterback that he would eventually become. Now, when Aaron Rodgers was asked about Mike McCarthy's firing, he just said, "We accomplished a ton of things together. I have a lot of great memories to talk about down the line," and Aaron Rodgers didn't exactly seem upset with this entire move. And there was this huge Bleacher Report deep dive on the toxicity between Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, where players would say things about the relationship between Aaron Rodgers. One of the things that were said was Aaron always had a chip on his shoulder with Mike because the offensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers, who elected to select Alex Smith over Aaron Rodgers, eventually ended up being his head coach. Aaron Rodgers was also reportedly fed up with Mike McCarthy's low football IQ, stating that he had the lowest IQ of any head coach that he's ever had. Other players would call Aaron Rodgers an arrogant quarterback that was quick to blame everyone but himself, but also indicated that for the most part, Aaron Rodgers was carrying Mike McCarthy. There were reports about Mike McCarthy getting massages instead of practicing, and it's a crazy article, and I'll leave it in the description down below. Other things included in this entire report are things like Aaron Rodgers being a control freak. But believe it or not, Aaron Rodgers would come out and defend Mike McCarthy in this Bleacher Report article, saying that McCarthy deserves respect and praise, and that story isn't true whatsoever. Rodgers would then call this a smear attack by a writer trying to advance his career, talking with mostly irrelevant, bitter players who all have an agenda. During this time would also be when the Green Bay Packers decided to hire Matt LaFleur, who was a disciple of the Mike Shanahan / Kyle Shanahan / Sean McVay coaching tree, who was thought to be a fairly promising head coaching prospect, but very, very risky because although he showed some promise, he was very limited with the quarterbacks that he had to work with, like Marcus Mariota and his lack of arm talent. Now, a few weeks later in the NFL draft, this is the 2019 NFL draft, the Packers would decide to draft Darnell Savage, who is a safety, over any wide receiver when players like Hollywood Brown, N'Keal Harry, who would go after Green Bay's selection in the first round, were on the board. But in the second round, there were players like Deebo Samuel, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, and Mecole Hardman, and none of them were taken by the Green Bay Packers. But that wasn't a big deal because a few months later, Aaron Rodgers would come out and publicly support a unknown wide receiver by the name of Jake Kumerow, saying, obviously, I'm a big fan of him. I don't think I need to keep going on that. But obviously, people didn't really think much of that because this is just a quarterback praising one of his low-end wide receivers. Now, a day later, Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, who just met each other, by the way, June 17, 2019, and there was drama in regards to the amount of freedom Aaron Rodgers would have at the line of scrimmage. And obviously, since Aaron Rodgers' drama is hot at the time, this would start to make headlines. And it comes down to Aaron Rodgers has always been given full control over changing plays at the line of scrimmage, something that he did a lot when Mike McCarthy was his head coach, but Matt LaFleur's offense dictates that plays should be run when and where they are called. And when asked about this, Matt LaFleur would come out and say, Aaron and I have had some good talks, and we're going to have to talk a lot more. And one thing we have to work through is the audible thing. We've never really had a quarterback who's had complete freedom to change plays at the line because that's not really the way the offense is set up. But ultimately, Aaron Rodgers would win this, with Matt LaFleur saying in September that we've given him all of the freedom. So if he sees something, he's got the green light to do whatever he needs to do to get us into a good play. We're not going to take that from him. A few weeks later, in a matchup versus the Minnesota Vikings, Rodgers and LaFleur seemed to have gotten into it on the sidelines, which obviously got blown up by the media, but Matt LaFleur would once again talk this situation down, saying that we're just two competitive guys, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time we yell at each other this way. That season would be an extremely successful one for the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, but they would get blown out by the San Francisco 49ers in the NFC Championship game 37-20. And the game isn't even close. It was one of those games where the 49ers got off to a crazy lead and eventually there was some stat padding, so it didn't look nearly as bad. But this was the best season the Packers have had since 2011, and Rodgers and LaFleur seem to have been getting along. On top of that, Aaron Rodgers had a very efficient season, throwing for 4,002 yards and 26 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions. But despite that, the Green Bay Packers have a very big decision to make. You see, the 2020 NFL Draft is notorious for being one of the most wide receiver heavy draft classes that we've seen in quite some time, with players like Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, and Henry Ruggs. that had other franchises salivating to the point where the Dallas Cowboys literally selected a wide receiver despite not really needing one. That's before we talk about receivers like Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., Laviska Shenault, and Chase Claypool, and this is all within the first 2 rounds. As a result, there's a ton of speculation. What are the Green Bay Packers going to do? Well, on the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers would say that we haven't picked a skill player in the first round in 15 years, so that would be kind of cool. Now, Rodgers says whoever the pick is, he'll track down his phone number and welcome him to the team immediately if the Packers don't trade out of the first round. And ultimately, the Green Bay Packers would trade up to select Jordan Love out of Utah State, which absolutely shook the NFL world. Rodgers would still reach out to Jordan Love and welcome him to the team. His reaction 2 weeks later was, I think the general reaction at first was surprise, like many people. Obviously, I'm not going to say that I was, thrilled by the pick necessarily, but the organization is thinking not only about the present, but about the future, and I respect that. He also drops hints that he realizes that finishing his career as a Packer may not be a reality at this point. On July 28, 2020, Aaron Rodgers would go on NFL Network and talk to Kyle Brand. And I remember us even dropping a video at this point on this specific instance because Aaron Rodgers would say something fairly significant.
Based on, just the circumstances around everything, you look at, just look at the facts, they traded up, they drafted him. I would say they like him, they want to play him, but look, I get it. I see it completely clearly and I'm not bitter about it. It just kind of is what it is.
And this would be a storyline to monitor going into the year. Now, in September, the Packers would famously, well, at least now famously, release Jake Kumerow during roster cuts, and he would later on sign with the Buffalo Bills and eventually the New Orleans Saints. 4 days later, on September 9, 2020, Aaron Rodgers puts to rest all of the rumors of potential turmoil surrounding Aaron Rodgers' future with the Green Bay Packers and makes it clear that he has no issues with his head coach, Matt LaFleur, even describing their relationship as #friend goals. So after a remarkable season, quite possibly one of Aaron's best seasons ever in his Hall of Fame career, Aaron Rodgers would once again make it to the NFC Championship and this time would fall to the eventual Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. During this time, people called to question whether Matt LaFleur made the wrong call by not going for it on 4th down, but Aaron Rodgers would say something even more substantial here.
A lot of guys' futures that are, uncertain, myself included. That's what's sad about it most. Getting this far, obviously there's going to be an end to it at some point, whether we make it past this one or not. But
now, a few days later, on January 26, 2021, Aaron Rodgers appeared on the Pat McAfee show as he's been doing during the entire season. And this was seen as a very big moment because at the time it wasn't even clear if he'd make the appearance, but this time he made the appearance and reaffirmed what he said.
I don't feel like I said anything that I hadn't said before. I said it the first time I talked to the media. It was more a realization, I think, that ultimately my future is not necessarily in my control.
Now, 5 days later, the LA Rams, who would eventually make a blockbuster deal for quarterback Matthew Stafford, checked in on Aaron Rodgers' ability and made a run at him. But the Packers were adamant that they would not trade him. Still, the fact that the Rams felt that they could make a call is fairly telling about the situation. 6 days later, Aaron Rodgers would officially win the 2020 NFL MVP award, and in a month and a half later, what typically is a mere formality, the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers are working on a contract restructure. Though the news is a bit strange because the Packers have unilateral power to convert Rodgers' salary into a signing bonus, which hasn't been done yet. Some rumors suggest that Rodgers actually wants a contract extension. Now, on April 5th, 2021, Aaron Rodgers would begin his celebrity guest run as the host of Jeopardy! And he even stated that he would like to play quarterback and host Jeopardy! At the same time, saying, "I feel like I could do both, which would be a lot of fun and a great challenge." Now, things are fairly quiet over the next 3 weeks, but a few days before the 2021 NFL Draft, Packers GM Brian Gutekunst says that Rodgers will be Green Bay's quarterback for the foreseeable future, though there is still no talk on a new deal for Rodgers or a restructure, which is still a bit peculiar. 2 days later, Adam Schefter drops a bombshell of a report that Aaron Rodgers
has told certain members of the organization that he does not want to return to the Green Bay Packers. And this is an issue that has gone on throughout the course of the offseason, so much so that each of the Packers' main individual decision makers, the president, Mark Murphy, the head coach, Matt LaFleur, the general manager, Brian Gutekunst, have each taken trips out west to go meet with Aaron Rodgers, to fly out and meet with him to see if they could change his mind and convince him to come back to Green Bay, which he does not want to do.
And at the heart of the issue, apparently at the time, seemed to be the fact that Aaron Rodgers wanted a new contract, which is what Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport would report. Getting done have swirled, there's been no progress made, and Fox reporter Jay Glazer and Schefter both say that Rodgers' contract isn't the sole issue of the falling out. Now, what makes things even more interesting is the 49ers would reach out to the Packers to see if a deal for Rodgers involving the number 3 overall pick could get done. It doesn't happen, and the 49ers instead select Trey Lance with the number 3 overall pick. Over the NFL draft, we'd see some pretty interesting stuff, like the Denver Broncos were definitely in the market for a quarterback, and they passed on Justin Fields. This added fuel to the fire that, hey, maybe the Broncos are close to dealing for Aaron Rodgers. On May 1st, 2021, Yahoo's Charles Robinson would report that Rodgers is willing to come back to Green Bay if they fire their general manager, Brian Gutekunst. Now, 2 days later, according to Ian Rappaport, the Packers releasing Jake Kumerow after Rodgers had praised him in a press conference turned out to be the death knell in the Rodgers-Packers working relationship, stating that Rodgers, I'm told, also wanted to be involved in more of the personnel decisions. This is crazy, but it does seem like the one thing that drove Rodgers nuts was when the organization released Jake Kumerow just a day after he praised him publicly. 2 days later, there's a report that Aaron Rodgers would refer to his general manager Brian Gutekunst as Jerry Krause, who is the man that was credited for creating the Chicago Bulls dynasty, but also prematurely ending it just because he wanted to rebuild for some reason. And that's where we stand today. Needless to say, this entire situation is bizarre. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about all this? Do you understand where Aaron Rodgers is coming from, or are you more on the Packers side of things? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.